Resilience is the ability to adapt to setbacks and changes. How is it different than patience? Well, tune in because we're going to dive a little bit deeper on how this is different than last week's episode of patience, but more importantly, how it can help transform our lives. Thank you for tuning in. My name is Jared with the Uraine FiveDiamondGroup here at Vice Realty, and this is episode 26 of the Move It podcast about resilience. In these 2 months, we've been talking about personal qualities and principles that we can apply in our life. Whether you are an industry professional or a consumer or just someone who's looking to make improvements in their life, thank you for tuning in. I encourage you to listen through on this episode because in these series of podcasts or PocoCasts or however you want to label it, we are diving deep into each of these qualities and how they have a benefit for our lives and ways that we can implement them to our benefit and provide a not only happier experience in life, but contribute to the overall goodness of our world. I believe that we can see a better place if we all contribute to making a difference. So let's dive in. Lex, take it away. So in the months of September and August, we've been talking about work-life balance and all of the different principles that we can apply to our life on how we can improve ourselves. Resilience. In this episode, why is it important? How does it affect our lives? Well, resilience allows us to manage work-related stress and prevent it from affecting our personal lives. It's kind of like this safety barrier that we want to keep in check. It also gives us the ability to boundary set and protect personal time. See, mindfulness of this matter, getting support in our group, and developing self-care, these are all elements in building our resilience in our life. Resilience has a way of helping us and help protecting us from various mental health conditions such as depression and anxiety. It also can help offset factors that increase the risk of mental health conditions. Consider things like being bullied or previous traumas that we might have had in our life. This is an excellent way to try and manage not just those trauma experiences, but implement peace and patience in our life. Resilience is often misunderstood. So let's identify 3 areas that are mistakenly considered resilience. Number 1 is a survivor mentality. Now, while it is true that resilient people view themselves as survivors, it's not only the characteristic of resilience that defines them. See, in this case, resilience also involves effective emotional regulation, feeling in control, problem-solving skills, as well as self-compassion and social support, something that someone who's missing in that emotional support doesn't have. The second area that is most commonly misunderstood is emotional suppression. Suppressing our emotions, it's definitely not the same as resilience. See, resilient people, they don't experience any less grief or distress or anxiety than anybody else does. The difference is that they actually find a healthy coping mechanism, skills that we can develop into how we can handle difficulties and foster strength and growth in our life. And number 3, this is commonly misunderstood as being independent. Resilience is not about being independent or self-sufficient for that matter. It's quite the opposite. In fact, it's all about having a strong support system, knowing when to ask for help. Don't let these perspectives misunderstood you or trip your path into developing resilience. So let's understand really how we can apply this. Resilience is the ability to adapt to difficult situations, meaning when we're dealing with stress, challenges, adversity, or even when trauma strikes, you're still going to feel the anger. The pain and the grief, they exist. The difference is that you can keep yourself in check, keep yourself functioning, not just physically, but psychologically. While patience is the capacity to accept or tolerate some of these challenges, some of these troubles, maybe even dealing with some of the suffering without getting angry or upset, the difference here is that Patience is more of on an emotional and a spiritual level. Resilience is more of an automatic physical reaction that we can deal with. And this is really a unique factor because this distinguishes us from animals and even objects when we're dealing with trauma. If resilience is an instinctive reaction, well, patience is the distinctive recreation of humans in that same moment. So they go hand in hand, patience and resilience, two separate elements, one common cause. Working these both together, these become the bridge to acceptance, especially when we're dealing with traumatic situations. Resilience encompasses several important qualities altogether, and as well as having its own characteristics. But if you were really to kind of distill it down to the top three things, here's how you can identify resilience for yourself. Number one is adaptability. Resilience involves the ability to adapt and bounce back in the face of adversity or change. Did you ever read the book, Who Moved My Cheese? Well, it's about being flexible and open to new approaches when we're dealing with changes or challenges in our life. Number two, emotional strength. Resilience also includes emotional strength and the capacity to manage and regulate our emotions effectively. This obviously involves maintaining our composure when we're dealing with pressure. Also, finding ways to cope with stress or sadness or even frustration. There are physical aspects that we can create solutions for in our lives in that regard. And number three is perseverance. Resilience is hallmarked by a strong sense of determination and persistence. Where does our determination come from? But other than knowing our why. When we have our purpose in life, it guides us in that path. It's also the willingness to keep ourselves moving forward. Even when we're dealing with setbacks and obstacles, we can continue working towards one's goals and values, being able to accomplish the bigger purpose in our lives. Sometimes it's small wins, other times it's a long-term win. One way or another, these all work together to help build our emotional strength and perseverance, as well as giving us a foundation to work with, kind of a toolbox to be able to pull from. Working hand in hand between patience and resilience, it gives each of us the ability to navigate all of the courses that life will throw at us. And man, in this world today, will it throw it at us? Well, what are some strategies as to how we can take these qualities, this quality of resilience, and implementing it in our life? Well, we can set clear boundaries. We can prioritize our task list. We can even unplug from work. There's a scripture that reminds me that strength and resilience can improve our life. They are all interconnected, especially for a healthier life. Proverbs 24:16 reminds us that although we fall 7 times, they rise again. This wisdom really highlights the fact that no matter what happens in our life, we're going to fall. It's going to happen. Challenges will occur, but it's not about how many times we fall, but how many times we get back up. Sounds like a Rocky quote to me. Where's the Rocky? How many times you get hit, back up? And don't think it was Rocky that quoted that. That came from the scriptures, man. Another proverb tells us that the wise, they will become wiser. They teach others, and they will keep adding to their learning. Our learning is really the result of lots of failures, just like a kid trying to walk. It really underscores the value of learning and having a growth mindset in our life. Don't let failures define you. Rather, allow these failures to build you up. And resilience is one of those qualities that we can embrace in our lives to help us get back up. Have that strong chin. That does it for this episode of the Uraine Ordovonius 5 Diamond Group Move It Podcast, episode 26. Thank you so much for tuning in. My name is Jared Uraine, and I thank you for listening to this episode. If you found this valuable, please, I would appreciate being able to have that shared. And of course, just like a beautiful butterfly, like and share. So keep in mind the famous words of Rocky Balboa. It ain't about how hard you can hit. It's about how what?
How hard you can hit and keep it moving forward.
Thank you, Lex. It's about how hard you can get hit and keep moving forward. And as we learn and grow, you'll end up adopting what Muhammad Ali said, that you end up floating like a butterfly, sting like a bee. Whatever the case may be cool like a butterfly.